The world will try to name you before you've named yourself. It will hand you titles you didn't ask for. Too slow, too late, too broken, too small. It will write your biography in pencil and expect you to live by its draft. But there comes a moment, rare, raw, roaring, when a man or woman stands before the mirror and decides, I will not be what the world made of me. I will become what I declare. That decision, that inner revolution, is the birthplace of every great life. History doesn't remember the lukewarm, the drifting, the undecided. It remembers those who made a declaration in the silence of their own soul. Think of Edison, who failed 10,000 times until the world finally caught fire by his persistence. Think of Carnegie, who rose from factory soot to build an empire not just of steel, but of belief in the power of the mind to forge destiny. These were not men of luck. They were men of resolve. To decide who you are is not a whisper. It is a roar that cuts through the noise of opinion and the chains of your past. It is a line in the sand, a sacred vow. I will not die with my greatness still inside me. But here is the truth most never hear. You do not become the person you want to be. You become the person you are willing to suffer for, to fight for, to bleed for. The cost of greatness is identity, and that price must be paid in full. Mindset is the forge, and belief is the fire. Your life bends in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If your mind is ruled by fear, hesitation, and self-pity, your reality will shrink to match. But if your mind is governed by vision, audacity, and faith, not in luck, but in law, the law of cause and effect, the law of growth, then mountains move and doors appear where walls once stood. Do not misunderstand. This is not wishful thinking. This is not a vision board gathering dust on your wall. This is inner architecture, the deliberate, conscious engineering of thought, repeated with such conviction that reality has no choice but to obey. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." What you believe about yourself sets the ceiling of your life. And if your belief system was handed to you by people who settled, surrendered, or shrank from challenge, then your first act of courage is not to climb, but to uninstall. Remove the mental programs that told you wealth is wicked, that ambition is arrogance, that dreaming is dangerous. Those ideas were not truth. They were chains disguised as wisdom. Replace them with truths forged in the fire of giants. That purpose is holy, that success is service, that your future is not a prediction, it is a declaration. And with belief comes clarity, the sharp blade that cuts away distraction. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. You cannot build what you haven't first imagined. Vague dreams create vague lives. But the moment you define your vision with precision, not just what, but why, you activate a force inside you more powerful than fear. You ignite purpose. Disney didn't just want to draw cartoons. He wanted to create the happiest place on earth, a world where imagination ruled. Lincoln didn't just want a presidency. He wanted a nation healed and whole. These men weren't driven by goals. They were pulled by purpose. And purpose demands discipline, not the rigid, lifeless discipline of punishment, but the sacred discipline of alignment, the kind that says, if my actions do not match my destiny, I will change my actions, not my dreams. Discipline is the daily decision to build when you don't feel like it, to show up when no one claps, to keep moving when the crowd moves on. It is the long road, the hard road, and it is the only road, because nothing grows in the soil of inconsistency. To become the person you've decided to be, you must act like them before the world recognizes them. You must move in silence before anyone offers applause. You must build in private what will later be praised in public. Action is the evidence of identity. Words mean nothing without movement. And yet we wait, we stall, we hesitate, telling ourselves we need more time, more certainty, more approval. But the most successful people you know began before they were ready. They stepped out while the voice of doubt still echoed. They acted, and in that action, they became. No one drifts to greatness. No one stumbles into purpose. It is a climb, a war, a firewalk. It is forged one step, one decision, one relentless action at a time. And the fuel that keeps that fire burning is gratitude. Gratitude is not passivity. It is not pretending life is perfect. It is the defiant act of seeing the gift in the grind. It is looking at failure and saying, thank you for the lesson. It is meeting adversity and saying, thank you for the strength. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It widens your heart. It keeps you grounded when ego tempts you to fly and lifted when doubt drags you low. It is how you hold power without becoming proud. How you build empires without losing your soul. Adaptability is the next breath of greatness. The quiet strength of bending without breaking. Too many cling to the identity they declared 10 years ago, long after life has evolved. But a true builder, a true visionary, does not worship old blueprints. They adapt. They listen. They shift without selling out. They grow without losing their ground. Think of Darwin, who changed the world not by force, but by observing, by evolving. Think of Jobs, who returned to Apple not to replicate the past, but to reinvent the future. Adaptability is intelligence in motion, not reaction, but evolution. Not panic, but presence. You are not a fixed label. You are a becoming. And every new season of your life requires a stronger, wiser, bolder version of you. Not a reinvention, but a revelation of what was always inside, waiting to rise. And in that rising, you must welcome resistance, not as the enemy, but as the weight that builds the muscle of resilience. Resilience is the heartbeat of destiny, the refusal to stay down, the sacred echo that says, fall 7 times, rise 8. It is the comeback, the rebuild, the rebirth. Look at Mandela, who walked out of a prison cell with dignity still intact. Look at Oprah, who turned rejection into an empire of influence. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the mastery of it. The transformation of wounds into wisdom, scars into symbols. And the resilient do not merely endure, they extract. They mine every hardship for hidden gold. They ask, what did this teach me? Who did this make me? What can I now give that I could not before? Learning is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. And the most powerful people you will ever meet are not the ones who claim to know everything. They are the ones who are still curious, still humble, still hungry. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. And wisdom is not what you know, but how you live what you know. So read, study, watch the greats. Ask better questions. Become a student of your own life. Every failure, every triumph, every silence holds a lesson. But only the aware will find it. And when you do, when all of this, mindset, belief, vision, discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, resilience, and learning come together in harmony, you don't just change your life. You become the kind of person who changes the world. Because you didn't wait for permission, you didn't ask for acceptance, you decided who you are, then became it. And that is the beginning of everything.